Hi everyone, welcome to the 19th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by a director and an editor, Mikela Picard and Ronnie Dinnel.
Ronnie
Diesel, as we know him.
Yes.
And I'd like to thank episode 5 guest Caitlin Turner for stepping into TD once again. So you guys are very acquainted with the Zicast and what we do here.
Yep.
So I don't even feel the need to explain it, and I just want to kind of get into things.
Okay.
So guys, how about you tell us a bit about yourselves?
You want to go first?
Sure. I'm Ronnie. I'm from Torrance, California, and I edit short films and want to edit films, commercials, music videos in the future.
Awesome.
I'm Mikela. I am from Rhode Island. Everyone always makes fun of me for being from Rhode Island, so I'm from Rhode Island. I definitely say that my strengths are in like screenwriting. I do assistant directing and also directing. I just really like making films and storytelling in general. So I worked on a lot of projects, a lot of short films, and I'm really excited to keep doing that in the future.
Fun. Why do you get made fun of for being from Rhode Island?
Well, because Rhode Island's just so random. Like, why would you be from Rhode Island? Like that, it's not like I chose to be from Rhode Island. I don't know, because it's like it's small. Everyone just like there's nothing to do. Like, yeah, you're right, but like you find the good things sometimes. I don't know. Because all of my friends that I met here are from like New York and New Jersey. So they're in like the big cities and stuff. They have stuff to do. Ronnie's from California, so it's kind of crazy that like California the biggest state?
No.
Or is it Texas?
No. It's Alaska.
It's Alaska?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Why did I think? Well, anyways, you have someone from the smallest state in the U.S. and one of the largest states. It's just like a weird. It's kind of interesting. I don't know.
Wow. Learn something new every day. I did not know Alaska was the biggest state.
I didn't either, I guess.
I mean, speaking as a North Havener, I can very much understand being from the not popular parts of students from Quinnipiac. But hey, it's uniqueness.
It's unique, yes. Yeah,
So,
I guess.
I'd like to also ask you guys kind of about your positions here at the school.
Well, me and Ronnie are both on the e-board of the Quinnipiac Film Society. We've both been members since freshman year. I'm the secretary this year. Ronnie's the director of promotions. We also are both, and I'm speaking for you, but like we have the same roles. We both are we both do work study, so we're both, I think it's called like production assistant, but we both work either in the equipment room or as just in the studio for like the graduate classes. For me specifically, this past semester I've directed the live Q&N shows and then directed for another graduate class. So that's kind of what I do on campus. Whoa.
Yeah. I also shoot
I can't hear you in mine.
Can you not hear me? Hello?
Oh,
Yeah, maybe I was a little too far.
You were too far away.
I shoot the hockey games, basketball games, acro and tumbling for ESPN. That ended a little while ago because, the sports ended, but I really like doing that. That's probably my favorite job on campus for sure.
Incredible. So now we got the kind of gist of things. I feel like we could get into the topics now.
Okay.
So now I'd like to ask you guys how you both met and knew you found someone special.
Me and Ronnie met freshman year. It's kind of like a long, complicated story, but I'll kind of like give the gist of it. So freshman year, we all got the opportunity to live in the 3+1 LLC, which is fourth floor ledges. This year, I think it's in Mountain View. So half of the floor was girls and half of the floor was guys. And a lot of people there were film majors. So I had met like the Julias and just some other people on the floor. My roommates now all live there. And my roommate freshman year too, she's not film, but we all were kind of just like kind of stayed on our side, like the girl side. Like no one ever ventured over to the guy's side until this is like my mom's gonna get all the credit for me and Ronnie meeting, but my mom came up one weekend to like bring us stuff or just like visit earlier on, like in like September or something. And she just comes up to me and she goes, so you have to give this bag of things to some boy on your floor. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, so I talked to this mom on Facebook and her son is from California, so she like can't come and bring her son things or visit him. So I offered to bring him things, but I'm offering you, so like you have to go up to the door and give him his things.
It was so funny because I didn't even know this Facebook post was made. Apparently my mom was just reaching out for help on Facebook for me. And,
yeah. So she goes, yeah, and this bag is like Method Men body wash and LaCroix.
Expose me with my shopping list.
No, but Method Men body wash and LaCroix. I feel like it was either the green or the yellow one. I don't remember. I don't even know what else was in the bag. I feel like that's it. Like I was just like,
that's probably it.
I was like, this is a weird order, but okay. So then I'm all nervous because I'm like, I haven't spoken to a male since being at Quinnipiac. Like I don't know. It's kind of nerve wracking. So I get all my friends together and my roommate, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go up to the door. We're just gonna give it to him, and we're gonna like run away. So we like build up the confidence, and I go up to the door, and the second he opens the door, I'm like, whoa. I don't know why. I was just like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, there's this really nice looking man standing in the doorway, and I'm about to give him some Method Men body wash and LaCroix and look like an idiot. But I was just like, hi, are you Ronnie? Because like, it could have been your roommate, because I don't know what you look like. So I'm like, oh, are you Ronnie? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, like my mom and your mom like talked on Facebook, and anyways, like this is your stuff. And he was like, oh, thanks. And then like closes the door, and I'm just like, why was that so?
That was the full interaction.
That was the full interaction. And I was just like, it felt like I was in like high school. Like me and my friends were all just like, oh my God, like we just spoke to a man. I don't know. It was kind of funny. And then like we realized like, and that was like, could have been the end of it, right? And then we realized that Ronnie's in two of my classes. He was in
we had a few classes together.
Yeah.
And we did QFS together because we were both film majors, and that was like the only club that we were a part of.
Right. So I had like seen Ronnie around, and I'm like, oh, like that's Ronnie. So like, and also we had a group me of like the fourth floor, and Ronnie would always like say things in the group me, so I'm like, oh, okay, like now I have a face to the name, like I know who Ronnie is. We couldn't find him on social media or anything because his like username is like radronnie3.
Yeah, it was different back freshman year.
So I'm like, I don't even know, like we didn't know what he looked like until we literally went up to the door. But anyways, we found out he was in some of our classes, one of them being Understanding Film with Rob Cohen. And
oh yeah, you know Rob now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan's met Rob.
Yeah.
And now Mikela's in his directing class with Coos.
Oh yeah. And fun fact, Ryan Ziaks just starred in me and Coos' production directing project. Maybe he'll post that. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Anyway.
Sponsored by the Zicast.
Sponsored by the Zicast.
Funded by the Zicast.
Also funded by the Zicast. Anyway, so in this class, he would literally assign like 2 movies to watch every week. And at the time, it was just me and my friend Kelly. We were just like in the class alone and just watching these movies. So we're like, oh, like maybe we should go ask Ronnie if he wants to like watch the movies with us. Cause like we thought we'd be like friendly, like, you know, kind of like meet new people. We didn't really know anyone in the class. We kind of like sat like on our own. You know, you kind of got to like branch out like freshman year. So there was one instance where Ronnie asked for like tape or something in the group me. And then me and my friends looked at each other. We're like, okay, this is our opportunity. We can go give him tape, and then we can go like ask him to watch the movie with us. Because again, we couldn't contact you in any other way. So we did. And I think Ronnie like said like, oh yeah, sure. But we didn't tell him the time or like place or anything.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which scenario this was. Yeah.
We just
they were like so quick with it. They like dropped whatever it was off, and then they were like, "Oh, do you want to watch a movie with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then like they left, and later I was like thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know where to go or like when to be there.
It was like so. It was just so funny. And then eventually, like, Ronnie asked something else in the group me, and then I reached out and was like, me and my friends are going to Target if you want to, like, come with us. And then I think that night you texted and were like, oh, do you want to go to the SPB event? Like, you and your friends want to go to the SPB event. It was like Stuff a Bear night or something. Yeah. So then we met outside the Rat. I, like, finally met Ronnie for the first time, got to know him. He helped me with my single cam project in the middle of the woods.
Same night?
It was the same night. It was like the grossest, like, humidest night.
Oh my God, freshman year when we first moved in, it was like 95, 90. Yeah. It was in like the 90s for a week straight.
It was so hot.
And it was.
Thankfully, my roommate had an air conditioner. You had an air conditioner too.
Not for a while.
Oh, okay.
I was struggling.
But anyways, we had met and we, like, had known that, like, okay, we're in class together. Eventually, like, from there, like, you would invite me and my friends to watch movies together and stuff for the class and everything. And then at that point, I had gotten accepted to go to Sundance 2022. And a lot of people going were, like, the Julias and stuff. And at the time, I had lived on the floor with them, but I hadn't become, like, really close with them. So I started to get closer with them. And then they realized who Ronnie was and who, like, I was hanging out with. And they're like, oh, so then they started inviting Ronnie to some things. So then we all kind of became, like, a huge, like, friend group and just starting to get, like, really close. But Ronnie and I specifically got close over Christmas break. So we'd FaceTime, like, every day and just, like, talk about our days or just, like, whatever. And then Ronnie actually got the opportunity to go to Sundance because they canceled the in-person section.
Yeah, a lot of people dropped out that year because they canceled the in-person festival, like, 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And a lot of people couldn't change their plans, so they just sold, like, their spot to me on the trip. So that was how I was able to go that year.
Yeah. And then I was so excited because I was like, okay, like, I kind of like him. And I'm like, now we're going to get to go to Sundance with each other. And then we got to go to Sundance. And I feel like we always look back at it and we're like, honestly, like, the real time that we can consider, like, us starting to really, like, date is, like, right after Sundance. We didn't, like, officially say we were dating until April 8th. But just, like, after Sundance, we just, like, kind of became a thing. I didn't tell anyone, but we did kind of become a thing since Sundance and stuff. I always look at Sundance to be, like, it's kind of the place where you kind of, like, fell in love a little bit. But that Sundance experience just in general was, like, really cool. Despite it not being in person, like, we literally would watch movies in the house just with the projector, but it was just, like, a fun, like, bonding experience. Like, everyone got a lot closer.
That was a really fun Sundance trip. Like, I mean, you went, and you know how, like, stressful it can be, waking up super early, staying out super late, like, every night. I was not expecting that with this year because, like, my experience in 2022 had been so different because we were just, any movies that we wanted to watch, we would just buy them, put them on a projector in one of the houses and just watch it in the house with everyone. And, you know, we could talk, we could, like, laugh at the jokes, we could, like, you know, we could whisper to our friends. It wasn't like we all wanted to have, like, that theater experience, but also, like, that'll probably never happen again either. Like, to be able to watch Sundance movies as they're being shown with your friends in a big room where you can actually, like, talk about them as you're watching them is pretty cool. So it was cool to have both experiences.
Kind of balances out in that way.
Yeah.
Where, like, the epic theater experience versus just being there with your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, wow, that was an incredible lore dump.
Oh my God.
Truly.
There is so much more, Ryan, but I'm not going to go into it. But yeah.
It truly was a movie.
It truly was a movie. Honestly, like, when he opened the door that first time, it was kind of like a movie scene.
It's like the ever seen Lego Batman movie? When the camera's like, I just died.
Yes.
It was exactly like the Lego Batman movie.
What a perfect comparison.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you had your little West Side Story there and Legends.
Oh yeah.
The girls section, the boys section.
Yes.
And then you crossing into enemy territory to
essentially.
Ronnie's body wash. And then that.
Yeah.
That's quite incredible.
That's the story. I could write a script on it if I really wanted to.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways.
Not like you've done that before. Yeah, and obviously, I don't know if you watched the Coos episode yet, but she kind of explained how her and Ben met.
Oh, okay.
It was sort of a similar, I would assume a similar thing there in Ledges. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
were roommates then, but
Yeah.
kind
We knew her. We actually started to become friends with her after that 2022 Sundance trip because she lived, I don't know, for some reason we just,
She lived with Charlie.
yeah, she lived with Charlie.
Yeah.
But
But she lived
kind
like
of,
around
it was
the
like
corner.
around the corner of Ledges, which is like not very far, but like it's just like nobody, I don't know, we just hadn't really crossed paths really until after Sundance, and then they became roommates, so then we were seeing her and hanging out with her a lot more, so.
Yeah.
because there's no place more romantic than Ledges.
Ledges, yeah.
The place that we met. Oh God.
The place where dreams come true. Come true.
Not this year.
Yeah.
Not this
You've heard
year.
the
Not
rumors?
this year.
Oh God. Poop on the walls and whatnot. I don't even know what Ledges has turned into, but it was good while it lasted.
Yep. Some good things came out of it.
Yeah, I get it.
That's what I've learned
Okay.
over the past few episodes.
Yeah.
So now I'd like to kind of get into the roots of kind of what you do. So what drew you both to studying film?
I mean, as a kid, I did a lot of stop motion animation videos on like my iPad. And then once I got to high school, I actually all of like elementary school, middle school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a career. But then high school, I got into photography. I was doing like film photography, then moving to digital, then learning Photoshop, and then I learned about like video editing and started doing little edits with like random movie clips. And then I realized
Harry Potter edits.
yeah, I would do like Harry Potter edits and stuff. And that was kind of what drew me into film. And then, you know, college came around and I was like, well, I got to pick a major. So, yeah.
I mean, mine was similar. Like, we all kind of like, all of our friends kind of like bond over the fact that like we all used to do like little like iMovie things, or like I know Maroli used to do stop motion things too. Like we all kind of started in the same place. Like for me, it was making videos. I used to do a lot of like music video, like so like Video Stars, and then also on iMovie like a lot of videos with my Barbies, and then also like my American Girl dolls, and it would be like me and my sister just like playing around with them and stuff. And then I had also had like my other friend, my best friend Livy. We created like this entire like storyline called like Roses Are Red, and like with our Barbie dolls in like Cape Cod, just like one summer, and we just like acted them out. We like performed them for our parents and stuff, and like they all had told us like, this is like cool, like you guys like can like make stories and like make videos and like do these like really cool things. And I never really like thought about it. Like my mom always like says that she's the one to credit for like me going into film, because she kind of was like, she like, so I got a camera in 2019, and then I started just making some videos and such, and then my mom was like, why don't you do like journalism and broadcast stuff? At my high school we didn't have like film. The only option was like journalism or broadcast, and at the time I was a senior, so I wasn't like taking the route of like the classes you need the prerequisites for. So the broadcast class, you need like advanced journalism, and then you need this thing and this thing. So I like reached out to my teacher and I was like, you know, like I like making videos and such, like is there any way that I can like get into the class without the prerequisite? And she was like, yeah, totally, of course. She was my English teacher like freshman year. Like she was a great teacher, so she just let me in the course. And in that course I made a music video to Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License, and I was like, this is cool, like I like what I'm doing here. And before that I had actually made a video in the summer. It's on my YouTube. I started a YouTube channel. It's called A Very Visco Summer. It's very cringy, guys. Don't attack me for it. It was like when all the Visco girls and all the like trendy things were happening. So I like made a video of like all the stuff my friends and I did in the summer, and everyone was like, Mikela, this is really cool. And I was like, okay, yeah. So then I started just making some other like little videos, and then eventually the music video, and then I was like, I think I should go to college for this. And my mom had actually found Quinnipiac because she didn't want me to go very far, because like I'm the oldest. I have a younger sister. She's a year younger than me. So I would be like the first one leaving, and she just didn't want me to go like across the country or anything. So she was like, can we like look kind of like close by and stuff? And then eventually we found Quinnipiac. And I like did a tour here, and I like hated it. It was just like in the winter, and it just like looked really ugly. Cause like in the winter, like, you know, anything can look ugly, all the trees and stuff, whatever. But on my second tour, I actually started to really like it, and comparing it to the other schools I'd gotten into, there wasn't really a community like for film at the other places, and there was a community here, and I like met so many people on like the Facebook page, and then my freshman year roommate I met on the Facebook page, and it just seemed like really inviting, and I was like, I think I'm like gonna do film, and I think I'm gonna go here, and I think it's gonna be really fun. But yeah, I've always kind of been like a storyteller, even if it's just like with American Girl dolls and Barbies. Like I feel like in film, like you have such a great opportunity to like tell a story or spread a message or anything. So I knew that's what I wanted to do, and that's kind of where it started, and I've had so many opportunities to do so while being here. And yeah, now I'm graduating in oh my god, how many days?
Like a little over 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Now we know what influenced Greta Gerwig to make Barbie.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, a similar trend of humble beginnings
Mm-hmm.
in terms of just taking things, editing them, iMovie. That's the common thing I've been hearing from interviewing Ari and the Julias.
It always starts with iMovie. I actually used Power Director on my Chromebook, and that was my first, not real editing, but like it was the only program I had besides iMovie, which was on my phone. So once I got like my laptop, I was using Power Director, and I like taught myself how to edit, and it's very bad. It's not like anything like Adobe or anything. I didn't actually start using Adobe until like halfway through my senior year of high school. So, and all of it's like self-taught. Like I never took a class on it or anything. So when I came to college, I was a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know everything that like other people know. Because I knew like other people had like went to like film schools or like trade schools where they were taught all this stuff. So a little nervous, but I think that the route that I'm taking, I feel like is more of the like creative kind of like writer, director, kind of like using my other strengths rather than worrying about like the technical things about like camera and stuff. Like that's Kuz's job. She can do all the log and the ISO and the whatever the heck all that stuff is like. I think that's where you kind of like create a team, is like you can all have your strengths and weaknesses, but once you have someone in like the place of like, I'm like a really strong writer and Kuz is a really strong camera and Ronnie's a really strong editor, then it's like, then it becomes like a huge, like it's just a good film. Like that's kind of like where our capstone group kind of came from. Like we all had our strengths in these positions, and there was never any overlap. Like everyone like knew like this is what I want to do, and like it kind of just went from there. So yeah.
I could jump for joy because you just you segued me perfectly into my next
Oh,
topic.
perfect.
So I was going to ask you about your work with your suitemates and how being around creative friends has helped you.
Yeah, I mean, I've known everyone since freshman year, and obviously we had the opportunity to live in the LLC, so you were surrounded by only communication students your first year of college, and I feel like that was really helpful for building those future friendships or future collaborations. So then when we got to sophomore year, we had already kind of known that all of us were kind of gonna either work on projects together or eventually get to capstone together. And it's just good too, because like if you have a question or you need help with something, you can just ask them, you know, like I was editing the film that Ryan's starring in, that me and Kuz directed, and I just like had a question for her, or was like, oh, Kuz, can you come like look at the edit like for a second? And she's just right there, you know, so she can just walk over and look at it. It's not like I have to like, you know, like search around for her, because she's right there. And it's just, if you have any questions, if you have any you know, any like challenges or anything, there's always people around you to support you and just help you out. So it's also kind of like inspiring too, just like living with a bunch of people that are really creative. Like I know for my capstone, I'm the writer, and for Merle's capstone, she's also the writer. So it's kind of like, and we live together, we're direct roommates. So it's kind of like we both are like these two creative people in a room, and there's times where in the first semester when we were both doing like script drafts, because every week you had to come in with the new draft of the capstone film, we just like sit in our rooms and kind of just like write and stuff. And it's kind of like interesting because you wouldn't really think that people would do that, but it just makes sense. Like, or if like we had a question, or I'm just like, I don't know, it's just like it's easy, like they're there, that not like at your disposal, but like everyone's like friends and is willing to help each other no matter what. There's dogs outside. Sorry, I got distracted. But yeah, it's cool living with a bunch of creative people. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I've completed the sweep. I have had all your entire suite on the Zicast. The first one to be.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I don't blame you. The first one for me to get the whole suite.
Yeah.
Like I told you,
yes.
I saved the best for last.
I may or may not have said to Ryan, he's had all my suite mates on, but not me. It was just a joke.
Yes, you outed me in front of a whole squad at the spring production.
On the spring production. I was just joking, but we obviously, everyone like loves Ryan and like loves being on the Zicast. So I just think it's cool that like you pick like all of my suite mates, because like they're kind of like the best people to have on the Zicast anyways. So
yeah, all amazing people. And it was always in my plan. There's a method to my madness. I have a strategy. I was just gonna tell you in the moment to trust the process, but
yeah,
you know, I almost went like, but you know, I got called out. I understand. I respect it.
Oh gosh.
I'm moving on.
Sorry, Ziaks.
I'll get over it. But now I'd like to ask you both kind of something. It's a very rather broad question, but kind of your favorite and least favorite aspects of the things you do.
I've
like
been talking,
editing.
So you go.
Favorite aspects and least favorite aspects. I mean, I like being able to sit down and edit pretty much on my own time, and you know, I like being on set, but I'd prefer to be able to edit and do my job there, because I know that there are a lot of people who do want to be on set, and as much as I like it, I prefer editing. And so I'm like, I'll give those people what they want to do, and I'll do what I want to do, because I mean, at the end of the day, I am stronger at editing. So
it's kind of interesting, because I feel like editing is a little bit like writing, in the sense it could be kind of lonesome.
Oh yeah,
you kind of just over the computer, kind of just sorting everything out.
Yeah, I mean, that's been like the last month and a half since like wrapping on the capstone. Like our first cut was like 26 minutes long, and we were all like, well, we can't have a 26-minute. Well, we can, but there was a lot of like stuff that just needed to be cut, and that takes a long time, like including like the audio and then doing the color and all that. So yeah.
I always think of a Denis Villeneuve quote where he said that editing is not cutting bad scenes, it's cutting good scenes to suit the story. So I know that must be so tough to like sit in front of the computer, bags under your eyes, trying to figure out what to do with so much.
Yeah, I mean, even with our capstone right now, like we had, we could have had it at like 20 minutes, but we were like, we do want it to just be a little bit shorter for like even just the showcase here and then festivals. And we were just trying to figure out what would be like the most efficient way to tell this story without just any filler, really. And not that any of the writing was filler, but like, you know, there's a difference between like what is written on the script and then how it plays out on screen. And it's trying to like keep everything that has value and like pushes the story forward and removing the stuff that like just could go. You know?
That sucked when I wrote it. I'm just kidding. No, I always look at it that like it starts with me as the writer, and then it like blossoms and evolves like through Ronnie, like through the edit. Like I even like writing this, the script has evolved from like the very first draft. You know, obviously it goes through a bunch of changes and stuff. And once we like got to the point where we were script lock and they were like, this is like our film, it's like it's not there yet, you know? Like once it gets to the edit, like Ronnie has this like incredible opportunity to enhance it so much in such like a unique way where it enhances the story, and it just essentially the film has evolved from the first draft to like it's still evolving now. Like it doesn't end at like when the script block is. Like it just keeps going. So I always see it as that it like starts with me and it ends with Ronnie, which I think is really cool. And obviously like I trust Ronnie like with everything to bring these just some words that I put on a page and just like have them like explode like on the screen. And Ronnie's such like a talented editor. Like I literally every single project I've ever had, Ronnie's edited it, and I would never have anyone else edit anything because Ronnie just understands like what makes a good edit and what parts of the story are important to have in the edit and how you can, I guess, enhance that like with your skills, like just editing wise. So I think that Ronnie's a very talented editor, and I think everyone's gonna be really proud, and I'm proud of him. Proud and is going to enjoy the edit of our capstone when it comes out on the screening on May 3rd.
The cutting room floor of the Breakfast Club suite in McMahon.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Where work's done, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also kind of like to turn on you now, Mikela. Like, what's your least favorite aspects of, like, writing, directing?
I think, like, I don't know. It's kind of difficult because I'm definitely a perfectionist, so writing the capstone specifically was like such a cool experience, but also such like a tiring and like it's just it gets to you sometimes because writer's block is a thing, you know. So you kind of get into those places where you're like, I don't know what I can add, or I don't know what I can take away. Like, what can I do to like keep what I'm doing but just like make it better. So you always have to like tell yourself that like no one else is thinking like what you're thinking. Like I look at this capstone film and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, or like all of it's coming from my brain, and I have to tell myself like, don't compare yourself to other things or to other writing, to other films. Like this is all coming from your brain, and like this is all unique. Like don't think it's not unique. I have to like tell myself like, just don't give up on this like one thing. Like try and figure it out, and if it doesn't work, you know, it doesn't work. But it's just like going through the process of testing things out and seeing if they work, or even like a small little like dialogue change can just do so much for the film. So I think that it's one of my favorite parts is like the whole process, but it's also kind of a least favorite part. Like there's kind of like pros and cons to it. I definitely say that when I get on set, like I just love being on set, but there's also like things can go wrong on set. So it's kind of like trying to find that balance of things. I wouldn't say I have like something that's like my complete favorite and something that's my complete least favorite. It's kind of like there's pros and cons of each thing. The one thing I will say is that I don't prefer editing, which is why I have Ronnie edit everything. Just because, again, I'm not the most like technologically well-versed person. So, but I think editing's fun. Like I've edited music videos. I've, you know, tested things out. It's all about just like trying new things, you know? So I think that even if you think something's like your least favorite thing to do, like why not just try it? Just test it out and just see, like, it might be fun. I don't know. So, yeah.
We all could use a Ronnie.
We all could use a Ronnie.
But yeah, like kind of what you're saying. I mean, you always want to make the movies you want to see. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of what you said is a test to that. And, of course, being on set, like you said, it's always pros and cons. Yeah. It could be exhilarating, but also quite stressful.
Yes.
As I could tell because there's nothing more professional than a Quinnipiac Tonight shoot. So I know firsthand the difficult, or how fun it can be and how difficult it can be. And kind of a lot of what you both said leads into my next topic, which how being a director-editor pair kind of helps you both with productions.
Definitely helps. I mean, when she said that like nobody has edited any of her other projects, I was like trying to like fact check that. I'm like, I was trying to think back like all the years. I don't think anyone has, right? It's either you or me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just crazy how like once you find that pair, like it just once you've done one good project together, you're like, you might as well keep working with the same people just because, like, it works. And yeah, that's really special to have because, like, I think Ari talked about it too, right? Like, him and Nick are a good pair together. I know that they're going to be, like, moving out to LA together. Like, it's nice to have, like, a pair because, being really strong in every category of filmmaking is really difficult. Like, that doesn't happen very often. So to have two people that are really strong in, like, one or two categories that are able to make a film as basically just the two of you and maybe have, like, extra crew members. But I mean, if you can make a project with two people, you can really go anywhere from there.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're very symbiotic, director and editor, because an editor is the director of what's been shot.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, stitching that all together. So that's why I think it's very fitting that you both kind of do those two stages, because everyone always says the most important aspect of film is the script, but I feel the most important aspect of film is everything.
Yeah,
because if one department's lacking, then your film will be lacking.
Yeah, it literally is, especially with the capstones. Like, it feels like a well-oiled machine when, like, everyone is doing their part, like, really well. Like, when we were in pre-production, Haley was able to set up the entire Seed and Spark page, which allowed us to raise all this money. Shnar was creating shot lists with coups and making storyboards and, like, pitch decks and all these different things. And I was watching, like, multiple short films a day, just, like, trying to get an idea of, like, how short films are edited, because there is a difference between feature films and short films. And so, like, all of us were just kind of, like, practicing. Joe, our sound guy, was taking out mixed pre's and all this audio equipment every single week just to, like, get more experience with it. We were all, like, very passionate about this project specifically, especially because we had all been we had been a group since, like, last spring. So we had known that this would be our group for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because short films, sorry to cut you off, but, like, yeah, short films, it's interesting because you kind of begin the story by getting right into it.
Yeah.
And you don't really have time to set up characters.
Exactly.
You kind of have to set up characters just immediately. That's why things like what they're wearing, what they immediately do is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is something that, like, I've had to tell myself is don't write things that are too long. Like, all of my films that I've written were probably, like, over 20 pages at, like, the first draft. And it's just crazy because you think about, you only have, like, 10 to 15 minutes to, like, essentially tell a story. And I know a lot of films are kind of like the slice of life stories where you can kind of just, like, start in the middle and kind of just, like, end wherever. It's kind of just just like a scene or so. But for me, I kind of like to write things that kind of, like, are, like, full circle or, like, an entire story. And it's kind of hard to do that in, like, 15 minutes. So with, like, channeling and with relentless reflection, it's kind of difficult because you have to think about, like, how do I prep these characters? How do I make sure the audience understands these characters and these motives and, like, what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing within the only, like, 15-minute limit that you have. Because a feature film, you have, like, an entire 1.5 to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if you're Christopher Nolan, to create an entire story. And a short film is just so much, you have so many limitations, but, like, at the same time, maybe that limitation is what makes your film so strong. Because I always look at it and I'm like, relentless reflection, I feel like if it were to be any longer, it might take away from, like, the impact of it, or even with channeling or anything. So I think it's difficult. I definitely say that's a difficult part, is cutting things down. But it's interesting. I don't know.
I definitely could see our capstone film being a feature. Like,
really?
Yeah, definitely. I think it could definitely be a longer story. Maybe not like the longest, not like a 3-hour film.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I could definitely see it being a full-length movie.
Yeah.
I think, like, we cut out so much, like, fat from, like, just, like, pauses in between people's lines and just certain lines in, I don't want to say too much.
Yeah. No spoilers.
Yeah. But it could definitely be longer for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it started at 26 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
how many hours of footage did we have? We had like
16 to 18.
Yeah, we did like 150 shots in 5 days essentially. So we were definitely like pushing our limits, but we also kind of like wanted to just do as much as we could to just get the best footage and like just make the best film that we could. But yeah, I mean, like, if you want me to, I'll write a feature-length version of it. I don't know. You never know. I definitely think that a lot of short films, a lot of feature films start as shorts.
Whiplash.
Yeah. Whiplash started as a short. I met a producer who was a family friend. He actually started his feature-length movie as a short. And he allowed me to watch both of those, which no one else has ever seen. Because it's kind of like in the festival run right now. Might come out in theaters, I don't know. But it's just interesting to see like how you can take something that's kind of like small, like short and sweet, and then like expand upon it in like a feature film. Like even like Whiplash. Like Whiplash was literally just like that one scene where like in the feature you can point out the exact scene that it was, but you get so much information from that one scene. So
yeah, it's like, because Whiplash, even if you watch the short film, I don't know if you've seen it, it feels like a full story by itself. But then when you watch the feature, it's like over an hour more time, but it still feels like a complete story. Like, I think that could happen with our script for sure, is like, it feels like a full story right now, but like there could be even more added to it to make it like a full length movie.
Release the Mikela cut.
oh gosh.
Yeah, I know the Whiplash short with the kid from Scott Pilgrim and Perks of Being a Wallflower. I forget his character's name, but Nick something. That's for later. Now I'd like to kind of ask you guys, since you're channeling feature films into short films, I'd like to ask you about the process of creating channeling and what that means to both of you.
I think channeling is like, besides the capstone, is like one of the things I'm most proud of. I just feel like the idea that I had with it was so like, I had like never seen something like that. I was like, I want to do something different. And I knew that being a part of QFS, they give you so many opportunities to do so. So I knew I wanted to submit a script for the spring production last year, 2023. And I had really enjoyed screenwriting at that time. I took a screenwriting class with Professor Stodmeyer, Fritz, and I was just like, maybe like this is kind of what I'm strong at doing. And I knew I wanted to write a script for QFS, and essentially the idea kind of came from this random conspiracy theory that I saw about Bob Ross, who is obviously like a known painter. He has all his paintings and did his little videos on the paintings. And it was just this random video of someone saying like, this Bob Ross painting matches exactly where this like crime scene was or something. And I'm like, oh, like that's kind of interesting. Like it's definitely a conspiracy theory. But I was like, what if I took something like that and made it into some type of film? And that's where I kind of started with the idea. And it's strange because I feel like for that film I did so much research. I did a lot of research on color and the symbolism behind color. I did a lot of research on birds and symbolism. If you watch the short film, you'll understand. I won't spoil too much, but in certain paintings there's certain birds, and also in the paintings there's certain colors which kind of represent certain emotions. So I did a lot of research with that, and I was like, I knew I wanted to make it like so unique where like no one else would think of this. And I literally would like go to bed and like have an idea of like the scene, whatever scene it was, and I'd wake up and I'd write the scene. So it was a lot of like creative, like going through and being like, this is like a really cool idea, let me just like write it down. So I wrote it and they picked it to be the spring production. I was like, this is really cool. I had the opportunity. I actually co-directed it. And I had Kuz be the director of photography and Ronnie be the editor. So it was very fitting that now that our capstone has those 2 exact members. And I knew obviously they were very talented. And there's a lot of ups and downs with channeling. We didn't really know as much the like camera we were using and the settings of it and stuff. There's a lot of stuff with the log format that was like really kind of tough to work with. But overall, I think it was a really fun experience, like just working with the entirety of QFS. Like everyone had a role. And our actors were all from Fourth Wall, so they're all amazing and very talented. And obviously Ronnie edited it, and Ronnie edited it in like 2 weeks, and we showed it actually at the Quinnies that year. It's like the fastest spring production ever edited by QFS.
That was really fun to edit. I mean, it was really stressful because I don't know exactly what the dates were or what the turnaround time was, but we had done the spring production like 2 or 3 weeks before the Quinnies were supposed to happen, and I was like, I want to show it at the Quinnies, and so I just decided to like edit it in like 2 weeks.
Time to lock in.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I finished it the day of the Quinnies. Like I was still doing color on the day of the Quinnies, and I think we showed up like a little bit late even because I was like exporting it, and then I brought it there and we like plugged it in with my hard drive and stuff because I didn't even like put it onto YouTube or anything. Yeah.
But it was literally like everyone saw it and we're like, this is so cool. Like everyone was just, and I'm so proud of like everyone on that set. Like it wasn't just me and Kuz and Ronnie, you know? It was everyone, like everyone and QFS like had a role. We even had people that weren't film majors that had like huge roles. And the film actually went to win a semifinalist at the Rhode Island International Film Festival. Very fitting that I'm from Rhode Island.
I was going to say, who's making fun of Rhode Island now?
Yeah. But I just think it's like, it's something that I'm very proud of because we did it in such like limited circumstances. Like obviously it's a QFS film. Like we don't really have a huge budget for it. And we obviously only have the campus to film in, and we only had like 2 weeks to edit it. But I think it's something that I look at and I'm very proud of. I think I'm proud of the writing of it, the kind of like what I went through to get to the like big reveal at the end. Like I feel like it's just one of those things that I'm just very proud of. I'm like, this is like a really cool concept. Like I'm glad I came up with this. I don't know. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like symbolism in it. There's a lot of the idea of the title channeling kind of comes from channeling your emotions through different ways. The main character kind of channels her emotions through music, and in terms of doing that, she's able to channel her emotions into her paintings, and her paintings are very symbolic of some things that are happening around her. So I just think that you kind of have to like read through like the whole, what does this represent? I feel like everything in the film kind of represents something. There's something I try to do a lot with my films is kind of like the symbolism behind something. I knew that every person's name in the film actually has a specific meaning. So like, I can't remember them now, but the main character is Mia, and I know that she had some type of meaning behind her name and also her last name, and the professor also had a meaning behind their name. And I also did that with Relentless Reflection. I believe all of the characters, Mallory, Evelyn, and Corey, all have specific meanings behind their first names and their last names. And I feel like that's also kind of like a cool way to like implement this idea of symbolism and kind of like Easter eggs in a way into the film. Is like, well, if you really look deep into it, like, I wonder why that's the person's last name, or I wonder why like this person has this part of themselves. Maybe it's because, you know, I did that on purpose. So I like to add in those kind of like little things. I do a lot of research in that way, just to like prepare and kind of just enhance the story, because I feel like if you pick up on something like that, it's kind of cool. Like it kind of makes you seem like, oh, this was done on purpose. Like this is kind of cool. I don't know, but yeah,
'cause everything matters.
Everything matters.
Mise en scène, the most pretentious film term of all time.
Exactly.
Everything matters. And I know, yeah, it's fitting we also brought up Whiplash, because I know Whiplash was a big influence for channeling.
Oh, yeah. The funny thing is that I hadn't seen Whiplash before I wrote channeling. But everyone, when we were casting and we were doing auditions and stuff for channeling, everyone was like, oh, it's just like that scene where the professor is yelling at the student. And I'm like, I haven't seen it, but exactly.
I hadn't seen Whiplash either.
Yeah.
When people were saying
But
that.
I
so
think
now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense, and it's a good comparison because it's also weird too, because like I came up with this idea of this like very like, you know, professor that's kind of like hard like on the student, and I mean it's a common trope, but like it's kind of cool to see that like, you know, like other films had this like element. So I guess you can say I took inspiration from Whiplash without even seeing it, but I definitely say that there is similarities. I think the films that are really interesting to me, and I actually did another film like this about ballet, is this idea of having this like really like aggressive teacher or something, and then this student who thinks they're not good enough or thinks they don't have like, you know, the ability to do something, and they're such a perfectionist or something. So like with channeling, that's kind of where the main character is in her headspace, is like, I'm not good enough. The professor doesn't think I'm good enough. My classmates think I'm not good enough. I did that with channeling, and then I also did that with this film that's going to show at the Quinnies because I submitted it. Waltz of the Marionettes is my horror project that I did last semester. Ronnie obviously edited it. And it has the same idea of these students that are in dance class and this teacher who's really aggressive and is saying like, you're not good enough and you need to do better. And they kind of like, in the end, everyone kind of like rebels against each other. I think I like to do that a lot with my films, but I don't know.
Yeah, they very much complement what Whiplash talks about.
Yeah.
In terms of like those harsh teachers and the ways that influences people. And of course, Birds, like Hitchcock, is always a very horror element.
Yes.
So you really combine that together, and it really echoes through in your work.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I'm just too funny. Echoes is the film that Mikela and I worked on. For those who don't know, now you do know.
Now you do know.
So of course, QFS gave you the opportunity to make channeling. So I'd like to ask you both about your experience with QFS eBoard and what that's meant to you.
I've really enjoyed it. Like, I knew from even before I was officially on the eBoard that like I wanted to do social media for QFS. I've done an internship for social media, and I've realized I don't want to do that anymore. But for QFS, it's really fun because I'm very passionate about QFS. I had already seen myself like on the eBoard sophomore year. I feel like I was just like, I know that next year I definitely want to be on this eBoard and like manage the club and see like how far we can progress it before we graduate. I think my goal was for the Instagram to get to like 1,000 followers by the end of this year, and I think it grew up from like, I think it was in the 700s when I got the account or when I took it over, and now it's at like 925, pushing like 950. So it's almost there.
Deploy the follows for the QFS Instagram.
Everyone follow at Quinnipiac Film Society. Is that what it's called?
Yep, Quinnipiac Film
at
Society.
Quinnipiac Film Society.
And I made
on Instagram.
The website. I don't know if you've been on the website.
I've not yet, but
wow. That's the one that Maroli and I made last spring. So yeah, and definitely needed an update.
Yeah.
It was old.
Well, that has all the information about like what we do. All the productions are on that. All of like the Quinnies.
All the mini productions, Quinnies, Sundance, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a good addition. It wasn't updated before, and I think Ronnie took that upon himself to update it even before he had the role, I think, as director of promotions. And I think that just made him an even better candidate to be the director of promotions. I'm the secretary, so I send the emails. I'm focused on a lot of the organization of like the meetings. I take minutes and everything. I knew that I wanted to be a part of the QFS eBoard because QFS gave me so many opportunities, and I knew that I wanted to kind of like give back with, again, the opportunity of doing the spring production and letting me like write, direct, just work on that. I think that I knew I wanted to kind of give back and be like, you know, I encourage the future of QFS to kind of do stuff similar. So I knew I wanted to be a part of it, and then I got nominated to be the secretary. And I think our team is very, everyone on eBoard is very passionate about QFS. Ari and Maroli are the co-presidents. Obviously, we have me and Ronnie, and then there's Poppins, who's the treasurer. And she's been the treasurer for like 2 years now. Yeah. Next year, she'll be the secretary. But I just think everyone's just really passionate about QFS. We've come across some challenges this year just with like outside things. But we've all kind of tried to put our best into QFS and make sure that everyone enjoys it. And we've taken a lot from what people have told us in past years of what they want to see changed. And we've implemented that this year. It's just kind of just making sure that we make a community where all these film and non-film students can come together and just share this passion for either filmmaking, film watching, film criticism, whatever way that you kind of look at film. QFS is that opportunity to just come together and meet people like you. And again, like, you don't have to be a film major to join. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, for channeling, the assistant director is a law student. And that was his first time ever doing anything like the first AD. So I think it gives everyone the opportunity, like, whatever experience level you're at with film, you just have this crazy opportunity to just be a part of something, which a lot of the time you'd have to sign up for a class or be in a class to do that. And a lot of the time that doesn't fit people's schedules or anything. So I think QFS, as like the largest film organization on campus, just gives you the opportunity to do that. So I knew that I wanted to be a part of it since freshman year, especially with all the Sundance and the spring production opportunities that I was given. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I very much second all of that. QFS is an amazing film community, as you know, with the people we went to Sundance with. Mm-hmm. And I very much agree that really anyone could be in the QFS because everyone likes movies.
Right.
Like, if people tell me they don't like movies, I just feel lied to. Like, everybody likes some movies. Mm-hmm. Like, some movies can speak to people in so many different ways.
Yeah.
On so many different topics and meanings. So, like, everyone likes movies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So why not try out QFS? Because it's always a fun time.
QFS promo.
Yeah, QFS promo.
Brand deal here.
Yeah, QFS propaganda on the Zicast. But that's why, of course, the eBoard's done an amazing job of marketing the club. I've had the entire current eBoard.
Yeah,
on
I was just
Zicast.
thinking. I was like, I know you had Maroli and Ari, and then I remembered that Poppins was on here too. Yeah.
Oh, she was? Yeah. I didn't even know that.
So I won't break my arm patting myself on the back. But yeah, and
that's
really,
the whole her suite and the whole eBoard.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been doing work here on the Zicast.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, and QFest has been a great place, and especially like what you said, like the productions have given us opportunities to do things we wouldn't normally be able to do, because I'm a film minor. Mm-hmm. I barely really have film classes in my schedule, so things like Q30 and things like QFS give me opportunities to do things I'm not normally able to do, which I'm very appreciative of. So now, kind of moving forwards, things that film experiences that you have, I'd like to ask you about Relentless Reflection and how that was. I know you've gotten into a little bit. But anything you haven't mentioned yet?
This whole capstone process is just something that you've just never done before. You know, you're kind of like, as prepared as you might be, like it's the first like real film that you're gonna do like in your career. And Ash always says, she was like, this is supposed to be like the worst film that you ever do. I think our film is pretty sick, but I think it's just interesting because you kind of are just like, you have to raise this $14,000. You need to go through this entire process of booking locations and this entire process of casting on backstage and getting real actors and using the money that you have crowdfunded to pay the actors, pay locations, pay for food, pay for equipment rentals, and like pay for all the stuff. Like, there's so much that goes into it. And it's just a kind of a accumulation of everything that you've ever done from your time here at Quinnipiac. And I think being a 3+1 student, it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's like rushed, but it kind of felt like we were kind of just like thrown into it. Because if you have kind of like that fourth year, you kind of have a little bit more time to plan for it. But because we're like in the accelerated process, I feel like it became kind of like, it was kind of stressful at some point. But I mean, no matter what, the entire experience is you're gonna have some challenges that you run into and everything. But I think it's just was really cool. Like, I thought that, like, yes, I spent my entire December break in Zoom meetings, meeting with actors and having them audition, but it was just so cool to see these people, like, read my words and, like, act as the character. It's just kind of, like, rewarding to see that, like, and then you ask them questions and they're just like, yeah, like, I'm really into the character and I really want to know, like, your inspirational stuff. And it's kind of just, like, cool to just go through the entire process and realize that it's not just like you, it's like everyone else is like rooting for this project and is putting in all this effort to this project. And I just think it was just really cool. I think that the whole capstone experience, though it's very stressful, again, it's very rewarding. Like, I think that all of us put in so much into this film, and I feel like it shows, like, in the edit. I feel like you can see, like, obviously there's stuff we wish we did differently, but, like, that happens on every film. And obviously, like, we have time constraints. We only had, like, 5 days to film it and stuff, and things happen on set, like, yeah, but it's just a cool experience to just kind of go through what a real short film in the industry would kind of be going through, like indie short films and student films. And so I know that in the future we're probably going to work a lot on them, either like as a PA or maybe you have a friend that's doing a short film or so. Like, that's kind of where you start, and it's kind of cool to see that this is where we're start, and we can just, all you can do is just go bigger from there. So it's been a really cool experience. Again, like I said before, I think this script and this story has evolved from the very first draft, which I did in June, where the idea kind of came to me. I was sitting at my internship, and at the moment I had nothing to do, and I was like, I need to start writing a script. I need to start having an idea for Capstone. I know I want to write something. And I had closed my eyes, and the first thing I saw was it was all stormy. I saw a car on the side of the road broken down, and then I saw a lonely cabin in the woods, and it just, like, in my head, it like just held on the cabin in the woods, and I'm like, I think it's where I start, you know? And it's a common, like, horror trope, the cabin in the woods, but I knew that it was going to be something easy to do too with the, like, limitations we have. We have one location, we have 3 characters. It all happens
saved us a lot of money.
Yeah.
Locations are so expensive.
And it all happens in one night, essentially. So you're only worried about, like, a few costumes or so. And, like, the setting is all the same because it all happens in one night. Like, you don't have to worry about things like moving around and so. So I knew I wanted to make it easy to make, but also make it interesting and something that you've never seen before. So it was definitely a process. And I think, like, the first draft, again, was, like, probably around, like, 20 pages. And it had a completely different ending. And I think once we got here and we pitched it to Ash and to Atkins, they were kind of just like, I feel like you need to focus more on the message and how you can take that message and kind of twist the ending in a different way. So we kind of went with this other type of message where essentially I'll give you kind of like the log line is that this lonely serial killer, she's addicted to killing, and she lives in the woods by herself, and she, with killing, you know, this addiction has kind of like taken over her, she still has this drive for a familial connection of some sort, and she's looking for something that is not just violence. And these 2 people come up to her door looking for shelter from the storm, and essentially the audience, you're supposed to be questioning, like, are these going to be her next victims, or is she going to see something in them? Is it just going to be this cycle of continuous just like addiction of killing, or is there something else there? So I don't want to like spoil too much. I feel like if I go more into the message, it'll spoil it, so I'm just not going to say as much. But the film, actually, I will say, may or may not be going through a title change, and we might be having a cool announcement coming soon. But for now, I'm going to reference it as Relentless Reflection. I just think that it's a cool story. I think that our actors are incredibly talented. I was blown away on set when they started doing these scenes and like doing these crazy things, and I'm like, wow, like we picked some good people here. And then they're also just amazing people. Like you sometimes think like an actor is like gonna be like weird or something, I don't know, not like that, but like you think that they're not gonna be like a very nice person or be very pretentious or something, but like these people are just like really cool and really like fun to work with. I think that was the thing too, is that the actors kind of on set just made it even more fun. Like even if we're having like a serious scene, like all of a sudden someone will just like say something and we'll just like start laughing. Like it's kind of just cool just to work with these people and then also see what they've done in the past. I know Ash actually was at a film festival and our main actor Lorenzo like popped up on screen acting in someone else's film, and she was like, that was like the best part of the film was seeing him up there because he's so talented. And you can see like in our film too that he is a very talented actor, and Shelby and Rebecca, who are other two actors, are just like incredibly talented too. Like I couldn't have pictured it like any other way with like any other actor, which is funny because our main actress actually had an unfortunate scheduling conflict after we had already cast her, and she like signed all the things and stuff like 3 days before we were planning to leave, and we essentially had 3 days to find a new actress. And thankfully we had some connections and everything, and we did it like really quickly. But I am now thinking like, thank God we had the person we had, because she did amazing, and she like really like channeled this this character in a way that even like I didn't even think of, and even the other actress maybe didn't even think of. Like it's just these actors kind of just like bring something to the table that like even you would never expect. Like when I'm writing the characters, I'm like, I would have never expected her to do something like that, and she did it and it worked. So it's just a really cool experience. I think that everyone has just done their all and has put in a lot of effort into this, and I'm just really excited to see where it's going to go. We're going to screen it at the Cannes Film Festival. We have the opportunity to show it there. I think that's going to be a really cool experience. And then obviously we have the screening on May 3rd.
Yep.
Yeah.
Editing has been pretty fun. Yeah. I mean, being on set was really cool for this experience. I mean, this experience made me like being on set more. I feel like the only set experience I've had was with QFS Productions, which they're good experiences, but you know, there's definitely levels to it. And this was just like the first professional set that I'd been on, it felt like. And having that organization, having that like schedule and plan and everything, I feel like made it a lot more enjoyable, because you know, set is very chaotic, and to just have it organized and scheduled out just makes it so much easier.
You're welcome. I scheduled it. I'm also the first assistant director of the film. I forgot to say that, but I scheduled it all together, and I made sure to like make sure all the shots and specific things like went in the specific order, and you know, it was a lot of like moving stuff around, but yeah. You can keep going.
Yeah. And then going into editing, I mean, like every time, basically we'd shoot for a while, and then we would have a dinner, and then we would shoot for like the rest of the night. It would be like, usually we'd work like 12, 14 hours.
It was like a 10-hour shoot.
Yeah, so like first 5 hours we'd shoot, and then we'd have dinner. During dinner, I would take the SD card and offload it onto my hard drive, and that experience was interesting because I'd done it for QFS, but not like during the shoot, you know. And we had like 30 minutes to an hour for dinner, so I'd have to offload a ton of footage, and then I was even organizing it in the moment. So by the time we left set, once I got to my dorm and everything, all the footage had been organized, so I could just drag it into Premiere and just start editing like as soon as I got back. And I think that definitely gave us a head start to get to the rough cut, which I was working on all spring break. That was my entire spring break, like editing like 5 to 8 hours a day. Just, I mean, like I said, we had 16 to 18 hours of footage, and now we have a 16.5-minute short film. So for every hour, I was using like a minute or less, which
That's
is just
a crazy way
crazy
to look at it.
me. Yeah. So it's come a long way. Like, yeah. And now we just got picture locked this past weekend, so now we're moving on to sound and then color. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Truly a relentless process.
It is a relentless process.
Well, great professional experience, as you're saying. Worked through obstacles as movies go, and made something that you're proud of. And the log line's quite incredible. So I'm very excited to see it amongst all the others once it drops. And speaking, you brought it that you're going to show it at Cannes, pronounced Cannes.
We've had
Con,
even the people that work there pronounce it in multiple different ways.
It's either Cannes or Con
or cons, cans.
I don't know.
I don't know if there is a right way to pronounce it unless you're French.
Yeah, everyone says it differently.
Well, there is the right way to pronounce Sundance. I ask you all what you thought of Sundance this year and just your experience.
I mean, it was very different from our freshman year, obviously, like we talked about. It was actually in person, so we were able to go to the theaters and see all these movies in a theater experience. And these were, like, huge theaters. Like, you know, they're not like an AMC. These are, like,
Nicole
massive.
Kidman on the
I don't know
screen.
how many. I think the biggest one had, like, 2,000 plus seats. I mean, they were packed theaters, and everyone, I mean, even the first day, some people didn't even get to their seats because it was so, it was, like, oversold somehow. So, I mean, it was just, like, super chaotic, super exhausting, but also, like, really fun. And we were talking to people in line that have, like, a ton of industry experience. Like, I think the guy worked for, like, Hot Ones. He was, like, a producer for Hot Ones. And
he has a podcast.
Yeah, he does have a podcast.
We, like, followed him.
But it's just crazy. Like, you never know who you're going to meet. I mean, we watched a documentary on the first night of the festival, and then the next day we were walking down Main Street, and we just saw the director just standing on a corner, like, waiting for an Uber. And I just walked up and I was like, hey, like, that was an awesome film. Really liked it. And then we just went on with our day. It's crazy. It's just a weird, surreal experience of, like, you know, you feel like filmmaking and, like, the people who make the movies are, like, so far away, but I mean, they're just regular people. Like, if you see them in person, they're there. It's not like they're, you know,
magical.
Yeah, like
rodent on the rainbow.
So it was cool, just, like, interacting with the people that make the movies, because it's just, like, you don't really have that opportunity normally.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, again, was a very different experience than freshman year, because we were all sitting in real theaters. We weren't just in a living room in Bear Hollow all watching off a projector. And, I mean, freshman year we had the opportunity to go to Main Street, but it was, like, not the Main Street that, like, you saw this year. It was, like, because there was actual, like, events going on this year, and obviously there's a bunch of people, like, just constantly in the streets. And then again, like, you just run into a celebrity or something. I think Harry saw, like, every film he went to, I think he met the cast of just walking on Main Street.
So many pictures.
He's celebrity magnet.
Yeah, that's what I called him too. I was like, it's just, and it's cool too, because we all have the group chat, and then all of a sudden, like, someone will send a picture and be like, guys, guess who I met? And it's just really cool to, like, see that everyone's meeting these filmmakers or meeting these actors, because again, like Ronnie said, like, you think it's so, like, far away. Like, you're like, oh, we're here in Connecticut, all the films are just being made in Hollywood, you know. But, like, you have this opportunity to, like, meet these people or even ask them questions, like, during the screening, or literally sit, like, a few rows in front of Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. It's a really cool experience. And then you also, the fact that you get to see these movies before they come out in theaters, and you can be like, yeah, like, I saw that one before you guys even got to see it. Like, it's just cool. And I think one of Ronnie's favorite movies has to be Cha-Cha Real Smooth that we saw freshman year.
Yeah.
And then, like, Apple bought it for, like, what was it?
Like 15 or 17 million.
Yeah, it's just, and then it's just so cool to see where the films go. I definitely think that Sundance probably has changed a lot from being focused more on, like, indie filmmakers to being focused more on, like, you know, what was the film? There was, like, a Richard Linklater film.
Hitman.
Hitman, yeah. And
that one was really good.
Oh yeah.
I really like that one.
I'm
Yeah.
still jealous you guys got to meet Glenn Powell.
yeah, we took a picture with him.
Were you not at the screening?
I was, but I wasn't there when you guys went out to meet him.
Oh.
I went out a different way.
Yeah.
Got it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Sundance has changed a little bit from like, again, the like indie filmmakers, and kind of has taken just people that are from the industry, but like then adding a little bit of like the indie element to it. Where it's like you might have a little less known writer or director, and then you have this like really well known cast. And I feel like that's also a good marketing purpose of your film, is like you have this film where like you might like not know all these like big like executive people, but like you have someone like Kristen Stewart in your movie, like Love Lies Bleeding, and even like Jesse Eisenberg's movie where he starred in his own movie
And was directing it.
and directed it and wrote it. Like it's really cool to see that like people are just taking the opportunity to just not just think about like, oh, it's all Hollywood and glitz and glam. It's like you can kind of create something that's like a little different. And like at Sundance, all the films were like very different and very like unique. Some of them were very strange, but it's also kind of cool because it kind of gives you that opportunity. Like you wouldn't have kind of gone out to see that film if like you knew what it was about. It's like kind of, you see like the thumbnail and just like a short little excerpt about it, and you're like, but I'm just gonna go see it because like I have the opportunity to do so.
You don't really get much to go off of when you're
Right.
deciding what movies you're gonna see. You just kind of see that it's happening, and like that you have space in your day to watch it,
Right.
and you just kind of decide to go. Like even once we were there, like we pre-bought tickets, but then we were like, well, we're not watching anything, and there's this ticket to this other movie that we haven't seen yet, so let's just get these tickets and go see it. Like, it's such a weird environment, that festival, because you're just like looking for another movie to see. Like, you don't want to go back to the house because like you're at this film festival. Like, you want to spend as much time as you can seeing these movies, you know? So it was super exhausting, especially this time around. Like,
Gotta love the 4 hours of sleep before you go see
the $90 Ubers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too because again, you have like no idea what these films are about because like no one else has seen it. Like a lot of these films premiered at Sundance, so like even if you were to look at like Letterboxd or something, like there's no information out there about what anyone else thinks about the film, and you're like the first person seeing it like on the screen. So I think that's cool too, where it gives you that experience to go out and see a movie where if you knew something about it, maybe you wouldn't have gone out to see it, or maybe you would have. But I know for a fact that we saw some movies that if we had chosen to like know about what it was about beforehand, we probably wouldn't have seen it. But it was still cool to see it because then you're just like, it's kind of cool to just see what they pick too, like, and what kind of like gets through. And there were some weird ones, there were some cool ones, there were some like
Sasquatch ones.
Sasquatch ones, violent ones. What was that one called? In a Violent Nature.
Yes.
Yeah, there
I'm
was
glad
that one.
I sat down to watch that one, and then I left
and
because I wasn't feeling great. And I'm glad I did, because apparently everyone said that it wasn't very good. So out of all the movies that I could have missed out on, I'm glad it was that one.
It's very like, and also like presents too. Like all of them like use like different things that you've never seen before. And again, it's just really cool to see the films, walk on Main Street, come across the actors or the cast or whatever, take pictures of them, and then go about your day and go see another movie. I think it's something that we try to do again, like if we have the opportunity to do so. Like obviously the opportunity is through QFS, but if we were just a group of friends going, like we'd probably go again. I also would like to go to some of the other ones. Like now obviously we have the opportunity to go to the Cannes Film Festival, which we're mostly going because we have internships and we're working there, but we also have the opportunity to like walk the red carpet and see movies and stuff. So I definitely want to like kind of check them off my list. Like we should go to this one next or this one. But yeah, film festivals are fun, and I think that we're all gonna obviously eventually submit to film festivals, so it's definitely gonna be more of a festival experience. We're just gonna keep going through the festivals. So
that's gonna be the next like year for us, because we're gonna be like finalizing our capstone and then submitting to festivals. I mean, the capstones from last year are just now getting into festivals because there's so much after the fact. I mean, like I'm gonna finish editing for the showcase, but then there's going to be so much more. Like we want to get a composer, we want to have it fully sound mixed, which takes a ton of time. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that take time in the post-production process and a lot of money that makes it take so long afterwards. And especially with like our kind of budget, you know, it's just tough to find people that are efficient and will do it for a low enough price, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sundance, it was peak quite literally because we were so high up. But yeah, I like especially what you said, Mikela, about how it's, even though it's very like big stars in independent film, like independent creative original scripts, like My Old Ass, the Aubrey Plaza, Freaky Tales of Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
That sold out that first night.
Yeah.
I think that's what you were referring to.
Yeah, that was the one where people just couldn't get in. They like oversold it.
No one on the wait list got in, and then like 70 plus people that had tickets couldn't even get in.
Yeah.
Which was just insane. And
That's insane.
getting to see the films as they premiere with the people who made them, getting to go on Letterboxd and saying W movie TBH and being the first person to put a review and getting like 19 Letterboxd likes.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing better than getting a like on Letterboxd.
That's fact.
It's so validating because it's so sparse.
Yeah.
It's
like getting a like on a Yelp review. Like who's liking Yelp reviews?
Exactly. Like you get more than 2 or 3, you feel like a king. It's
funny.
incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, getting to live with your friends, have fun experiences with them, seeing films, going on Main Street, seeing famous people, spotting them, being glued to Harry at the hips just so you can find famous people.
Yeah.
It was just an absolute blast. Well, one of my favorite experiences. So now, kind of moving onwards, I'd like to ask you a question, Ronnie, about the differences between the East and West Coast, since you've lived on both sides for a significant amount of time. And I'm really trying to go to LA for the summer, so I'm curious to hear more about that.
I'll be there. I mean, you know what was weird is like when I first moved here, it was like a big culture shock, but I couldn't figure out why, because it's not like another country where you go to like Spain or something where a lot of people speak a different language and the architecture is different, the food is different, like everything's different. It was just like very small changes that I couldn't like pinpoint, but I could still tell were like different. One of those being that there's no In-N-Out here. But I mean, another thing is like the schools here on the East Coast, they're all in like brick buildings. They're all covered, you know?
Inside schools.
Yeah. All my schools that I've gone to have been outside other than like the classrooms. Like you walk into class, you'd have your class, and then you walk out the door and it's outside.
Like that school in Barbie.
Yeah.
That's what everyone that I've told that to, they're like, oh, like the one in like some Disney show. And I'm like, yeah, because they're shot in California.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what was it, Victoria? You always compare it to
Victorious,
right?
or like Zoe 101, I think too. I definitely say Victorious. They
Yeah.
like eat outside. Like I didn't.
And I didn't really get it until I came here and like she was showing me around her high school, and it's just like built like a prison.
It is, yeah.
It's built like Tater Hall. I mean, that was another big thing. The food here, there's no good Mexican food. You can find it in some places, but like there's just such good Mexican food everywhere you go in California. And
I agree.
But I mean, the East Coast has a lot of other things to offer, like pizza, you know, Frank Pepe's. Frank Pepe's is incredible. I like Frank Pepe's. I'll go there all the time. There's not many Frank Pepe's in California or places like that, you know.
Iggy's from Rhode Island. Well, that's a Rhode Island thing.
Yeah, Iggy's was good. We went to this place called Iggy's in Rhode Island that is like clam chowder.
Very New England.
Very New England, yeah. It's some good chowder, you know.
Good to know if I'm ever in the area.
If you're ever in Rhode Island, go to Iggy's, get a Doughboy. Everyone always attacks me for that too. Rhode Island, we have like specific things that like aren't in other places too. So it's kind of interesting to like look at like what Ronnie has in California versus like what a small state in like Rhode Island has. One of those being Iggy's. They're called Doughboys. They're essentially, it's like fried dough, but it's like
a donut, but without the donut shape. It's just like a little piece of bread that's like tastes like a donut. It's like covered in sugar and it's exactly like a donut, just shaped different, pretty much. They
have powdered sugar, they have regular sugar, they have cinnamon sugar. Yeah, everyone's like, it's just fried dough. Like, no, it's a doughboy. Like, you have to call it the specific terminology. And then we also have Dells, which is like frozen lemonade. Everyone should try Dells. If you're ever in the Rhode Island area, like, you need to. Also, coffee milk. Coffee milk is not like thing. And Ronnie tried it.
It's an interesting thing. It's like chocolate milk, but it tastes like coffee.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand like what, because she told me about it, and I was like, coffee milk. It's just milk that's flavored like coffee.
Yeah. They have that in calf here.
Do they?
Really?
Milk that's or at least
Maybe.
they did at one point. I tried it and I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I never had it again.
Oh, I don't like it either, but it's just a Rhode Island thing, I guess. But yeah.
Interesting. And I know, like, cause I had Liza Bolito on here, and I asked her because she did KU in LA, and she said she's more of a New Yorker in a sense that she talked about how like people in California are a lot more mellow versus like New Yorkers. I'm walking here versus.
I definitely got that when I first came here. Like, people did talk differently, and like I went to, like, when I was just moving in, me and my family, we went to what's the deli on Whitney Ave next to Dick's? It's not Ray and Mike's, I don't think. Corner Deli. Yeah, I went there on like my first day here, and the lady, asking people to give them their orders, she was like, just yelling at me like, what do you want? Like, and that's just not how like things are in California, So I could definitely tell that now. I feel like now I'm used to it, so I don't. But same with like the accents. Like, your parents have pretty strong like Boston accents, and like Maroli has a strong New York accent that comes out every once in a while when she's angry.
Yeah. The drivers.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason I went to this school was because I didn't apply to any schools in California because I knew for sure that I wanted to move out of the state, just somewhere else. I didn't expect it to be this far exactly, but I'm happy with my decision. I really liked the fact that there was actual seasons here in California. There really aren't seasons. Like, it's kind of just the sunny part of the year and then the cloudy part of the year. And it's pretty much, it'll go from like 60 degrees to 50 degrees, maybe 40s in the winter. And then back up
hot.
to, yeah, exactly. Like, there's no snow. We barely get any rain. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something about the sun. Calms people down.
Yeah.
Like, you ever take a vacation, it's like island time.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Buffett. It's like,
I think it's true. I definitely think that is the case. Like, something, the vitamin D, it's just making people happier.
Yeah. Yeah, versus the snowy, constant cold of New England.
And the like dry air. Ronnie,
that drives me crazy.
Ronnie hates the air here.
Oh my God, in the winter I have to put so much lotion on my hands.
Yep. Always cut up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, hands ripped up, dry nose, getting bloody noses in the winter. Like, that does not really happen, at least in Torrance. It's pretty Torrance is pretty close to the beach, and I lived in Redondo Beach for a while, which was like literally, I think my dad counted how many steps it was from like our apartment to the Strand, and it was like 130 or something. So like, you get that salt air breeze, it's humid, not humid, but like a nice in between of like dry and humid. So it's nice. I'm excited to go home after living in Connecticut.
I was gonna say I could use some of that. Because like I said, warmer weather, and I think that could be a lot of reasons why like the New Yorkers, New Englanders could be a little aggressive. I do think it's a weather thing. Like, growing up, I always liked winters and the cold, but as I get older, I like it a lot less.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to.
What do you call it when you clean off a windshield from the snow? Is there a word for that?
What?
Where you clean off a windshield because of the snow?
Like, you just wipe it off?
I guess, but there's not like a word for it, right?
I don't think there's a term.
Yeah. I did that for the first time this year.
You're like, all right.
Oh, scraping a windshield.
Yeah,
when you have ice on it. But her car was like covered in snow this one day, and I was like, I guess I'll get the brush out of the back and like start like brushing the snow off and then scraping the ice off. I was like, this is weird.
It's like it's something funny too, because like we all grew up with that. Like, even like in high school, like you wake up and you gotta go turn your car on and scrape the ice off it before you even drive to school.
Yeah, she was like, oh, we got in the car to come down here at one point in the winter.
I was like, you have to warm the car up first.
I'm like, why?
It never gets that cold in California.
Yeah.
I think it's funny to think about, like, there are so many differences, and like especially with Ronnie, who's like, yeah, like the air just isn't the same, or like especially the people driving around, like he's like, the drivers on this side of the country like suck, like they're horrible drivers.
Don't get me started on the Connecticut drivers.
Like,
blinkers are optional here.
I know.
Yeah,
I hate it. I hate
it's
it too.
crazy. And I mean, the highways are 2 lanes, which really throws me off because I'm used to like 7, and like you have so much space. And here it's like if someone's blocking the lane and they're going like 25 miles an hour in a 60, like you just got to sit behind them if it's 2 lanes, 1 lane. Like
the roads are so much windier here in LA. It's like they're
LA's
all like grids.
Yeah, so like usually just go straight and then left, right. Like it's not like bendy and like, you know.
Yeah, there'll be times where we're driving and Ronnie would be like not know what to do like at a certain like intersection or something because it's so like stupid. Like there's so many weird just like ways and like the roads are here. He's just like, I don't know what to do, and I'm like, just go around it. Like I don't know. It's literally because like he's not used to that. Like I feel like your first time driving here on the East Coast was just so like strange because like it's
frustrating.
Yeah, I guess
more than anything. I understand it now. You know, all the traffic. That's probably why New Yorkers are angry too.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of traffic. Yeah.
Now you know what it's like to be on. scrape ice off once. Hey, LAX, you have any flights for me?
That's another thing. Whenever I fly home, as soon as I walk out of the airport, I can smell the like salt water, and usually I get a In-N-Out burger on my way home from the airport, like first thing.
That's the first thing I did.
Celebration.
Yeah.
First thing I did was my first ever time in California was when I went to go visit Ronnie like over the summer. The first thing I did was get an In-N-Out burger, and I will say it was very good, and I do miss it. I want to go back and get another one. But yeah, it is very different over there. Like now visiting, I understand where he's coming from with like all the like things that are different. But yeah,
there's like very few Dunkin' Donuts there too. It's all Starbucks.
New England runs on Dunkin',
literally.
Yeah. And there are probably like, I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I feel like I see like 2 or 3 every once in a while just driving around like all of LA. You know, like I'll see one pop up and I'm like, oh yeah, Dunkin' Donuts exists. But I mean, Starbucks in California is like how Dunkin' Donuts is here. You know, like they're on every corner. And that's like what people want to get in LA at least. Yeah,
like I vacationed in Cape Cod. There's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Because it's Massachusetts.
You just can't escape.
Yeah, you cannot escape.
Yeah. No wonder why Ben Affleck does. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon do Dunks commercials.
Yeah.
It all tracks.
Yeah.
So kind of moving onwards from that very interesting discussion, I'd like to ask you guys some things that people may not know about you.
I played soccer in high school. Yeah. I went to a very small high school. So, I mean, genuinely, my graduating class was probably like 30 or 40 people. Yeah. That's how small we're talking. It was a prep school. So, we had a fun soccer team. We didn't take it very seriously because we knew we were in like Division 8, and like we were just there to have fun. And so like I played all 4 years of high school, well, all 3 because COVID.
Yep.
But it was a good time. Like my freshman year I started as a striker, and then as like the seniors started to graduate, we needed more defenders, so my coach put me on defense. So it was a good time.
Didn't you do like track and like?
I did do track and cross country. I did cross country for like 1-2 years. My freshman year of high school, I was like 155 pounds, so I was doing like 17-minute 3 miles for like a cross country meet. And then sophomore year, I started going to the gym, and like I gained like, I think I went from 150 to like 170, 180. So then that next year I tried doing cross country again, and my times dropped by a lot. I think I went from like 17 minutes to 23 minutes, and that'll like really hurt you cross country. So.
Yeah, because I always see you in the gym.
Yeah.
Or I see you sometimes. Like whenever I see you, I'm like, oh, Ronnie Diesel's here. I gotta lock in. He might be watching.
I missed that. I missed the main campus gym. I lived here last year, and it was open for the spring semester, like when they first opened it. And going there every morning was awesome. And then I moved up to York, so now I'm going to the little personal gym up there. It's definitely not the same as this one.
Less crowded. So it has its trade-offs, but definitely the one down here is much better.
Yeah.
So in that regard, how about you, Mikela? Anything people not know about you?
I guess it's similar to like that Ronnie does sports. Like I grew up dancing, so I grew up being I did like ballet, jazz. I did like a few different forms of dance, but then eventually I just became specifically just doing ballet. I guess many people don't know that about me because I had to stop like my freshman year of high school because I got an injury. So it was kind of upsetting because like everything like I'd ever done was just like ballet. Like that was kind of what I was like. I wouldn't say I was like good at it. Like I wasn't the best, but it's like the only thing I did. Like I didn't do any other sports. I didn't really do any other like club things like other people in high school did or were like part of like a sports team or something. Like I just did ballet. And then once I got my injury, I was like, well, what the heck am I going to do? Like now I can't. I had to stop because the only thing that was hurting my injury was doing ballet, because in ballet you're moving your body in literally positions that the normal human body is not supposed to move in. So and it's just like the years of training, like you've trained your body how to like be able to move those ways, but it's still like looking at a ballet dancer, you're like, whoa, like a normal person literally can't do that. Like you need years and years of training to do it. But so essentially I got an injury. I had to stop dancing, and that's kind of where I found my passion for film, is that I had the opportunity to just sit and like be like, now I can't do something that I like love doing. I should find something else that I love doing. And that's when I started liking making videos and everything. Like I had done it when I was little just like for fun, but when I got like my camera, which I believe was around like the same time, and I started making videos, I started teaching myself how to edit. I like watched a lot of YouTubers, and I was like, I feel like I want to like do something like this. Like maybe this will like start something new. And that's kind of where I got the passion from, is just the opportunity that unfortunately I had an injury, which I stopped doing something I love, but in the end I found something else that I love doing. So I guess that's something about me, is I used to be a ballet dancer for like 10, 12 years. I had the point shoes and everything, dance on my toes and everything. And then I made a short film about it. I actually, the short film is more of like a horror, like it's all fictional and everything. But I actually had the opportunity last year in a documentary class to do a documentary on ballet. And I actually went back to my ballet studio, which I grew up going to, and I interviewed all these dancers, which I had actually known like my whole life. And they seeing that how they evolved and how they like got stronger and got more talented was really cool, but also hearing their perspectives on things like perfectionism and mental health in ballet and body image and stuff was really cool too, which is what this documentary focused on. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to fully finish the documentary. I made a cut for, obviously it was like due for our final last semester, but I wanted to add a little bit more to it so then I could show it to my dance studio. But because, senior year came along, capstone came along, I was writing the capstone, we were doing all this stuff. I haven't had the full opportunity to go back to editing it, but that's definitely my goal, is to finish editing it, because it was a really cool experience to do, just to go back to like where my roots started, which was this like little ballet studio, and seeing how literally ballet and film literally formed together because I was doing a documentary about ballet. So yeah, I used to be a ballet dancer. Not anymore. I definitely have lost all my flexibility and skills, but it's definitely something I look back at, and I am proud of doing. So
Yeah, sure, it taught you a lot because ballet is tedious. Filmmaking can be tedious.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's probably taught you a lot of lessons, especially discipline, which is always very important
Yes, yeah.
in terms of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of filmmaking,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to ask you guys your hopes and dreams, whether it be professionally or in general.
I want to move back to California. I definitely want to live in California. I want to be an editor for probably a commercial company, not like for the company, but work for an editing house that does commercials. I know that commercials are like one of the best money-making ways in terms of editing. I know that editors make a lot better money on commercials than they do on films, music videos. Music videos in general, I know, have pretty low budgets generally. So, in films, there's just a lot of different people to pay. So commercials are one of the ways that I've heard that editors can make a better living and still be able to do what they love. So, and I interned for an editing house in LA called Cabin Edit in high school when I was a junior. And that's like what made me have this goal, is like working there and seeing, I mean, I shadowed this editor who does all the Ariana Grande music videos. And I met an editor who edits Vince Staples music videos and did commercials for Apple, Taco Bell, Porsche, like all these huge company names. And it's like, I just think that's so cool.
You could do In-N-Out commercials.
I could do In-N-Out commercials. You know something crazy is that they don't have like, I don't think they do marketing. Like
They don't need to.
they don't need
They
to.
don't
Yeah,
need
all
to.
the people just do it for them. But yeah, they just have like, I know that they have like a jingle, like a just company jingle, but they don't have
You
like
can-
commercials. I don't think.
Not yet.
I've never seen an
Not yet, I
an
say
In-N-Out commercial.
You can edit their first
I
commercial.
said we manifest things in the Zicast.
Yeah.
Manifest an In-N-Out commercial edited by Ronnie Diesel.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
What about you, Mikela? What's your hopes and dreams?
I don't know. I feel like I feel like coming to college, I told myself like, yeah, I'm going to find like what I want to do specifically. I feel like I haven't found the specific like career path. I just found the fact that I love being like on set and like helping out in any way. I know a lot of people, you know, you start off as like a PA in the industry, and I think that I've talked to a lot of filmmakers and other people who are saying like there's not enough PAs like in the industry. Like you seriously like try and put yourself out there and try and like become a PA, and just that's your way to like, you know, connect with people. So it's obviously where you start, but I think that in the future, I definitely say that I do love screenwriting. I think it's really fun and interesting to do, and just being able to tell a story and spread a message about something and just connect with audiences through your film, or it could be a TV show or even a commercial or documentary or something like that. Like, I think you have such this incredible opportunity to tell stories through this medium of film. So in any way, I just want to be a part of that. I guess writing, I guess that this capstone process has told me that my work as a first AD is actually like kind of interesting, and I'm definitely very organized in that way too. Like the way I scheduled out our film, and we and I used all the programs that we learned and everything, which I now have because I had to buy them for class. But I know how to use them, and I know how they work, and it's kind of my whole life. Like even in like real scenarios, I like need like a plan. Like I need like a set time we're gonna leave, and a set time we're gonna get there, and a set time we're gonna do this. And I feel like kind of taking that and putting it into film is kind of what I do already. So working as a first AD is definitely like up there in like the ranks of like, you know, the roles in the industry, but it could be something that I want to pursue. I mean, I'm also like, not that I'm going to do this, but like for Cannes, I'm interning at a sales company. I'm going to learn about the sales and distribution and how to do that to your film and everything. So I'm kind of like learning all the different facets. So I kind of will like know all the different kind of things. So, but I guess I'd say like somewhere in the pre-production, production range of filmmaking. I definitely say I'm less interested in the future of like doing post, but I guess that's helpful because I have Ronnie. But I think like, I don't know, like films in general, like just being a part of them in any way, I think is kind of where I'm striving to be. I don't really have like a end goal. I kind of just like, sometimes you kind of just need to take every opportunity you're given and kind of just see where it leads you, I guess. I don't know.
Goals.
Goals.
Yeah, like I always say, it's great to put things out there in the world.
Yeah.
Because just to speak it is to pursue it. So now I want to ask you guys the golden question. What are some of your favorite movies?
One of my favorite movies is House.
I'm awaiting one of your favorite movies that are that's highly debated.
I mean, I liked Saltburn. It's not one of my favorites, but I did like it.
I also like Saltburn. Everyone attacks Ronnie for it. I think Saltburn was very clever. I think that it was very unique. I think that there are definitely some scenes that are like, we say it's not very Mikela core. Like I would never write something like that into a film, but like, it's definitely, I thought was a good movie. Like I don't know why people like attack Ronnie for it. I think it was, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was like clever. I thought the acting was great. I thought it was a good movie. I thought like the reveal at the end, like some people say they saw it coming. Like I think it was pretty clever. I don't know.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it became like a meme.
Yeah.
It did
you
become a
liking
meme.
Saltburn.
So many people didn't like it, and I was surprised. So I was like, I like it. And people were like, I don't like you. I like Baby Driver. I like I said, House. I like this movie called Saloon that Ash showed us in her horror class last semester. I watched that movie and House in the same semester, and now they're like two of my favorite movies ever. They're very they're technically considered horrors, but like those two movies specifically out of all the other ones that we watched in that class were probably the like tamest in terms of horror.
Yeah.
They were House especially is very like silly. It's almost like a horror comedy. Saloon was more like what was the genre? It was called like Southern Gothic.
Yeah.
And
that one was cool.
What else? Yeah, it was like a Southern Gothic, kind of Western too, and also horror all at the same time. It was just super unique, and it was shot really well. And Ash told us the budget beforehand. It was like under $100,000, and it looked so good. And like the acting was great, the lighting was great, everything about it. There was even VFX in it that were really good for especially the budget. And I was just like blown away by it. So yeah.
My watch list is loading up.
And I think it was like a French movie, I think. I think they spoke French. I'm not sure if that was where they shot it, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know.
And Cha Cha Real Smooth.
Oh yeah,
that's like my favorite movie. Yeah.
I feel like Ronnie looks at things. I feel like everyone looks at things like dependent, like their favorite movies dependent on like what they do. Like even you saying like how House like looked and was edited, and how Saloon had like the VFX and like essentially how it was edited. Like, I think it's cool that like you kind of look at it from like your perspective of what you like to do. That did not at all help my point where I was going to say that I don't think I have a favorite movie. I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely not like one of the like film majors. Like coming into college, I didn't really have like a favorite film or a favorite director or a favorite this or that like a lot of other people had. I don't know. I feel like there's something unique about like each film, and there's also some things that like I feel like I haven't found a film that's like perfect. I feel like there's like some things where you're just like, oh, and then the rest of the time it's like great. But I definitely say I have like favorite films in like certain genres. Like I think that like Hereditary is like, I literally hated that movie when I first saw it because it was like scary, and like I grew up like hating horror movies. I would like never watch them, or when I was forced to watch them, I hated like the jump scares and stuff. But when you look at the deeper picture, like at something like specifically Hereditary, you look at like the story and you're like, whoa, like this is kind of like a cool film. So again, I guess that adds to my point, is like I kind of look at it as like the story. maybe even for Saltburn too, I kind of looked at it as like, this was a cool story, like the way they kind of like twisted it and stuff. I don't know. I feel like I don't really have like, I have like my favorite like Disney movies or like Pixar movies. Like I love Tangled and like Ratatouille and stuff like that. But then I also have like the musical movies like Aladdin live action, which everyone attacks me for. I like Mamma Mia, and then the horror movies like Hereditary and Parasite, and then there's movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once. You know, like I can't really like put a favorite movie like into a box for some reason, because there's so many like different aspects of a movie that are like so cool, and kind of like you can kind of overtake another one, but then like this part of this movie is like this movie could have never thought of. And you know, it's kind of like, I don't know how, like I can't like rank them. I feel like that's like weird, but like I don't really.
Her favorite is live action.
No, it's not. Okay. I just like the music. I saw Aladdin on Broadway and I like the music. That's why I like live action.
Thank you
Aladdin.
for summarizing, right?
No, I don't know. I feel like each movie has something specific. Like literally whenever someone asks me that question, I don't know how to respond. Like, sorry, Zicast, I don't know how to respond to it. I feel like
It's okay.
I just like
I'll cry about it
movies.
later.
I did actually. I saw Black Swan recently. Ari actually
Got you the Blu-ray?
got me a Blu-ray DVD of it. And I also like that one because it's related to ballet, and I also liked it too because it's related. It's like psychological horror. But then there's aspects of that I maybe didn't like of it. So again, I can't really put a pin on like one specific favorite movie. I just like certain movies that are just like, I have a lot of like 5-star movies in my letterbox. So I don't know.
We all like what we like.
Yeah.
All our tastes are different.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate that, because movies, like art, are all subjective. And sometimes even on my end, like I don't necessarily have a favorite movie. My favorite movies that I give when people ask me. So very, very based picks.
What are your favorite movies, Ryan?
Oh, of course. Of course, I don't have like a specific favorite, but of course, I like the Dark Knights up there, La La Land, The Place Beyond the Pines.
I haven't seen
Heard
that.
of
Place
that one.
Beyond the Pines?
Yeah, with Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper.
For some reason, I've never heard
I've
of it.
never heard.
Very, very good film. It's very, very underrated. I highly recommend.
It's very underground.
Yeah, very
as Ryan
underground.
may say.
Very based. So those are up there. Those are up there with a lot of my. Oh, Jerry Maguire too. It's a Wonderful Life. Those are in my realm of my favorites.
Yeah.
But kind of with that all said, guys, do you have anything you'd like to add as we wrap things up here?
Come to the screening on May 3rd. CCE
Come to the
101.
Quinnies. Come to the Quinnies this
Quinnies.
weekend. April 27th at 5:30 in CCE 101. I'm planning that out right now. I just found out who the Quinny winners are today, because I just got our last judges' picks in. So
Yeah.
I know.
Big stuff.
Yeah.
And come to the capstone screening. Well, you'll see our film and a cool announcement that we're going to make about also the film. So,
Awesome. And thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks,
A lot of
Ryan.
fun.
Thanks.
A lot of great movie discussions. I appreciate it. So, of course, as always, this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story, signing off. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye, Zicast listeners.
Bye.